What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Steve Nostentoski here of Mason Brew, bringing you another episode of Freshman Feature for the class of 2021. This is the series where we cover school, stats, recruitments, projection, everything you need to know about the incoming class for Michigan football 2021. I had a poll on Community tab on Twitter. On Monday, we saw Junior Colson. Second in votes was Andrel Anthony. So here we are, episode 4, covering the East Lansing native, Andrel Anthony. As always, remember to check the Community tab here on YouTube as well as Twitter for future polls to determine who I cover for the upcoming episodes. Subscribe while you're there if you like the content. Let's dive into episode 4 here, Andrel Anthony. So, high school, East Lansing High School, obviously out of East Lansing, Michigan, Michigan State's backyard. East Lansing High School league and district champs in Division II in 2020, lost to Mona Shores in regional. Mona Shores, the team that went on to win states in Division II. East Lansing went 7-3 as a junior, where in 2020, that Mona Shores loss was the only loss of the year. So, stats for him, senior year, 26 receptions, 474 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 punt return touchdown. Remember, 2020 was an abbreviated season, so his junior production, 54 receptions, 954 yards, and 9 touchdowns. A little bit higher production with the full season. That was a single season school record for him in both yards and touchdowns. And then sophomore year, 33 receptions for 543 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. Looking at his metrics, he comes in at 6'2", 175, and it's a question mark on the rest, right? If I had to bet, I would bet he'd be somewhere in the 4.6 range of 40 time. But again, that's just me guessing. We have nothing to really go off of, nor vertical or shuttle. It didn't pop out on screen, but I'm just a projection guy right here, so I don't have the stats or the metrics for that. So looking at his rankings, 3 starts, all services here. His composite, the only one that really gives a national rating just outside of the top 500 at 525. Composite has him as the 81st wide receiver overall in the class and 13th in Michigan. So, middle of the road 3-star here. And remember, the rankings here are more for the pro potential. I think the lack of testing numbers overall maybe doesn't have that high level athleticism, but we'll get to that later on in the scouting. So his offers, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Penn State, some of the big ones, right? These were offers that came on pretty late, but you also had Air Force, Arkansas, Cincinnati, Indiana, Iowa State, Kentucky, some other offers from the Big Ten, Northwestern, always love to see that offer for academics, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Purdue, West Virginia, Wisconsin. They always seem to find these wide receivers that are true, really high productive college receivers that maybe don't have the athleticism to get to the next level. But anyway, that's one of those teams where it's like I like to see a Wisconsin offer for this type of wide receiver that you can usually turn those guys into really good college wide receivers. His recruitment, so he's definitely a riser in the rankings overall, or I guess in the teams that were paying attention to him came on a little bit late, right? He had a strong camp season. In the spring and summer of 2019, that's when he really saw a lot of his offers coming in. Some MAC schools in Indiana offered. Michigan hosted him at their prospect camp. His performance there was good enough to get an offer. Michigan had a couple things in their favor. Michigan is his father's favorite team. Also, he mentioned that the McCarthy commitment was a huge plus, right? He wants a good quarterback to throw to him, and McCarthy is definitely that. So shortly after that offer and those comments, a crystal ball came in Michigan's favor. And he went to a couple subsequent camps. Offers came from Michigan State, Notre Dame, Minnesota, Penn State. Other teams continued to push. Penn State was pushing pretty hard, as well as Michigan State, right in their backyard. But he ended up committing to University of Michigan in June of 2020. So let's move on to his scouting here. Really smooth, something that's offered a ton. He's a smooth guy, great route runner, fluid in and out of his breaks, really crisp footwork, reliable hands, good acceleration and deceleration. That's kind of going into the fluidity in and out of breaks, right? And good body control. So for the downsides, he lacks elite measurables, right? And this is more of a thing where we just don't know, right? So it's kind of just an assumption, but it's not like he's a 4.3 or 4.4 guy. He's likely 4.5, 4.6. He needs to get stronger, right? 6'2", 175. Going to need to get closer to 200 pounds or so to really be productive. And then straight line speed needs to improve, okay? For me, so that's all scouting from different scouts, different reports, different sites. For me, I think his body control really stands out on film. I don't know how high his vertical is, so I do have a question about that. But when he is in the air, he knows how to contort his body, how to go up for passes, and he knows how to catch away from his frame. So overall, his body control stands out really well in the film, able to catch the ball in a lot of different orientations, whether jumping, diving, anything can be. The efficiency in his route running is really strong, and that's going to bring his floor up extremely high, right? You don't have to teach him a whole lot in route running. He seemed to have a pretty diverse route tree in high school, so that's really good, and that'll set him ahead as well as his footwork there. And he was pretty crafty after the catch, right? You think a guy without the measurables, without the high-level speed or shuttle times, whatever, but he really impressed me after the catch, able to work through traffic, able to have a little wiggle to break free, and really broke a lot of, around the middle, like 10, 15-yard passes into touchdowns because of his efficiency and his moves after the catch. So that really surprised me, something I wasn't expecting. He's really crafty. His film, again, tonight, Wednesday, we're going to be going live at 8:30 p.m. to go through his film, all the things you want to see about his film. I'll break down each play and everything like that. We did that last week and on Monday as well, so be sure to check that out tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Answer any questions you have as well. Moving into his comp, this is another tough one because I was trying to see, is he close to like a J.U. Chesson or maybe an Amara Darbo? He kind of has a similar frame, right? Or he will have a similar frame, but both those guys were blazers. Like, I think they both ran 4.4s in the 40, and I just don't think that's a skill set that we'll see out of Andrel Anthony. So Adrian Arrington is a comp I saw that is a pretty solid one, right? An extremely productive collegiate wide receiver. Might be a stretch to get to the NFL unless he really improves that speed, but plenty skills enough to be a productive collegiate wide receiver, and Arrington was absolutely that at his time at Michigan. And they have a similar frame, right? Similar skill set, very dependable. A lot of the things that I said kind of resonate with Adrian Arrington's skill set. So looking at his projection here, early on in the spring, Mike Sainristil praised Andrel Anthony for his speed, right? Said he was one of the faster guys in the room, which is really great, right? And again, you can take this as this is good for Andrel Anthony, or this is bad for the wide receiver room, right? If a true freshman is the fastest guy in the room and it's a guy who is not lauded for his speed, what does that say about the room? But overall, I tend to think it's maybe a little bit on the positive side because we know, Ronnie Bell has decent speed. We know there are guys in that room. AJ Henning has good speed. There are guys who are speedy in that room. So maybe it's something that Anthony really worked on over the offseason, right? Improved on that. So to have him say that, to have Sainristil unprompted really say that he's stepping up in that regard and mention that skill specifically, it'd be rare for that to be mentioned without there being some substance to it. So hopefully he improved in that area, and that could be, proving that ranking a little bit low if he has improved on that speed. So him staying out early is good, right? He's the lowest ranked wide receiver in the class, I believe. So having him already coming through and getting mentioned is a good sign just for his long-term development here. So I wouldn't expect it to be this year that we'll see him really, because you have Ronnie Bell, Johnson, Sainristil kind of as your top three, and then you also have Roman Wilson, the speedster, and AJ Henning, right? Those guys. And that's kind of 5 wide receivers that I would put ahead of Andrel Anthony. You might see him in garbage time, right? Depending on whether you want to give him a red shirt or not. Still have 4 games to play with. I think we'll see him, just get him on the field in those garbage time scenarios, get him some experience for those 4 games. But I would expect a red shirt to truly see the full potential of Andrel Anthony year 3, year 4 down the line. So that's all I got for you this time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on what you expect. I think it's a great pickup. I think he's a very dependable high floor guy. It's just how high can that ceiling get? Speed is the main thing to look for moving forward. Again, community tab, Twitter, I'll have polls to vote on who you guys want to see for episodes 5 and 6. And finally, live stream tonight on the channel, 30 minutes or so of film analysis, any questions that you guys have. Beyond that, thank you guys for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Stay safe out there, and as always, go blue.